This is the Australian machine. It's got the ceramic platen plate. It's sitting on there right now as a 120 grit Cubitron 2. Just for demonstration, we'll run it forward. Tracking adjustment, very good. I'm going to demonstrate the stop. Go in reverse without touching the machine. Tracks very good. Back to forward. Runs at 7,900 service feet per minute currently. We'll demonstrate that. You see that track's very clean. I'm going to quickly discuss some of the features of this. It has the, I'm the only one doing this currently, it has the electric linear actuator for the tensioner. That's a rigid tension system that's superior to the ratcheting type, in my opinion, because it's adjustable while you're moving, while the belt's moving. Let's give a demonstration. So you can slack belt, you can tension it up while you're moving, get just the adjustment you want. You're not limited to a full tooth like on the ratcheting system. You can just bump this a little bit, change it, push the button, push tension off. Another exclusive feature of the Heretic is the clamping system. I use a tube inside of a tube clamp. Instead of the set bolt, I will actually make the outer tube into a clamp. The tolerances is very close. It accurately centers and aligns your platen or your tool arm in the same position every time. There's no slop, no wobble. Like other set bolts, sometimes you might get a motion like this, and so you have to put set bolts from this side and this side. When this clamps down, it's done. It's very quick, very accurate setup. So this is these are toggle type to provide clearance for the belt down there. This is a axis neutral tracking system. It doesn't raise or lower the tracking wheel. It pivots the tracking wheel around its center axis. So there's a center axis this way and a center axis this way. The assembly is connected exactly at that point inside the hollow part of the wheel, so that when I adjust, it rotates the wheel around its center axis. And this feature is important because of the rigid tensioning system. If you're having a wheel that's lifting up or lifting down like all the other machines do, and you have a rigid tensioning system involved in that, then you're, instead of just controlling tracking, you're actually changing your tension. So anytime on those machines, if you change your tension, your tracking's going to change. If you change your tracking, your tension's going to change. This one separates those two functions so that this can change without changing your tension, and this can change a pretty good amount without changing your tension, your tracking. Sorry. We'll move into the VFD. So these are the extra parts for the power supply that goes with the linear actuator. It comes with a manual button, and it also comes with a wireless remote if you wanted to mount that someplace. The power supply is wireless. I had purchased these originally, and A couple of the customers thought that they preferred to have a manual button because they were worried that they might lose this if they were carrying it around for some reason. So it's got this as well, and it just plugs in right there. These are the spare jumpers that were removed from your VFD. This was the plug that came out for the stop run switch. Extra leg for your plug-in. These were not used. Just throw them in there. I don't use them. So if you ever remove some of the switches, you'll have those handy. And these are the VFD instructions. They come with it. This is your VFD adjustment tool, trim pot adjuster. It's a composite screwdriver on one end and a little Allen wrench on the other side. Right, now that this is all set up, I'm going to change this VFD from 60 Hertz, where I am at in the United States. I'm going to jumper it to 50 Hertz, which is where it is for its destination. I'll depower that. Use this plastic screwdriver to point. This is the 60 Hertz jumper. And so I'm going to take that from the 50 to the 60 position and move that down to the 50 position. Now this VFD, the next time it powers up, not going to be with me, is going to expect to see 50 Hertz. When that happened, because I've tuned it all on 60 Hertz, when it powers up next time, there will be a digital laser tachometer that will need to be used with the target on the drive wheel. And this max pot right there will need to be increased or decreased to get the right RPM setting, which will be, I recommend 4,900 to 5,000 RPM. Currently it's set on the lowest setting that it will sit on, and that's been running the motor at 5,050, which is acceptable percentage over 50 RPM, being that it's not going to go any slower. The acceleration, deceleration, acceleration is set to accelerate pretty quickly. Deceleration, I've tuned it so that it stops the 10-inch contact wheel, which has a lot of rotating momentum in it, so it will stop that before it turns off. And that deceleration basically adjusts the duration of the deceleration current. So if you're got a light load on there and you apply the decelerating current for 1 second, and that will stop the load, that's sufficient. If you have a heavier load in there, like with the contact wheel, then you might need a 2 or 3 second duration to energize the stop circuit, and that's what that does there. Alright, it's set for a 3 horsepower motor. We're pretty well done in there. The VFD comes pre-mounted on the stand, so when you open the box, it's already going to be mounted on the stand, and the VFD is already pre-wired to the motor, so there will be no wiring when you open it. You will plug it in, put a couple screws in there to hold it down on the VFD mount, a couple screws in here to hold it down, and you can use even the same screws that it was shipped with. Hold it down. Several customers do that. And I was going to demonstrate how it's going to ship. So it will ship assembled like that. The platen will ship itself in the same container, assembled like that. Contact wheel ships assembled. The work rest will ship in a couple of pieces. In those 3 pieces, they'll be together in there. It all ships in the same container. Weight is going to be under 150 pounds for the entire assembly. So 2 people should be able to manage that box. Under 150 pounds and under is a huge shipping break, and that's one of the benefits of having a fully aluminum extrusion frame. It has closeouts on all the frame ends to give a good finished appearance and kind of deaden any echoing or singing sounds that might come from high frequency. It comes with this block here of this is a lubricant. The brand name is Bolube, B-O-E-L-U-B-E. It doesn't take very much, but it's very effective on the aluminum. You apply occasionally, every couple of weeks or a couple of months, depending on your usage and what's on there. It doesn't require a lot. Just apply some of that on those because the tolerances in here are so close that when these are new, if I were to insert a dry aluminum bar into a dry aluminum tube, they can gall together in there, and then they're never coming apart, because galling, basically they weld them together, so because of that close tolerance. So this lube allows that to function properly. Now that there is lube already transferred in there, even if you put a dry bar in there, it won't gall because there's already some lube in there. But chances are you would notice that it's feeling sticky. This is the experimental wheel. I'm going to ship it with that on there. This is the one that I quoted. I'm going to ship that with it, since that's the one that's been actually quoted with it. But this is the experimental one. After you purchase this machine, I came up with this, and I didn't want to send it all the way to Australia without one of these, because this is a huge improvement, an enormous improvement. And so I would really personally feel bad if I sent a machine all the way to Australia without this on it. I do have a production version of this coming soon that will use a different assembly out here, and a 4-inch wheel, a bigger wheel. The reason for the bigger wheel is to fit the factory assembly. I found a factory assembly that I can buy ready-made off the shelf that will do what I want, and so I just increased the wheel diameter to fit that ready-made part.